the Minister of Propaganda, I beseech you, as the Minister of Propaganda, population was so unprepared psychologically for the World Trade Center attacks that the entire country was on the verge of highly unpredictable behavior, insane of panic, animalism.
Però pure c'hai questa scelta, non sempre una parte sempre una parte seu.
Assassinated outside his home in suburban Maryland while driving one of his billion-dollar car collection, gunned down in much the same manner that JFK was assassinated, his out-bourgeois wife left to tell the tale and wallow in depression. But wait, we interrupt this broadcast to convey the fact that J.P. Morgan has been shot dead in Seattle. Steve Jobs shot dead in Cupertino outside Apple's design headquarters. Assembly in China has not been disrupted. Twenty of the most visible heads of industry have been simultaneously assassinated. Symbolic center of finance was destroyed at the same time the Pentagon was attacked, yet the mountebanks of high finance wish us to believe the attackers were simply insane people, the insane who hate freedom. This is a species of poetry. This is not an attempt to accurately portray a history of any peoples, nor is it intended as a didactic work. Again, this is a species of poetry. I think we're headed toward a world very much like Star Trek, in which there is such abundance that money becomes obsolete. Getting from here to there will require accepting that in a world of enormous median wealth, ensuring a decent standard of living for everyone is no more out of place than providing municipal water supplies. The U.S. citizenry is in need of reaching a higher stage of the moral axis of psychological development, shedding the rule-oriented pain and punishment paradigm in which people should be given what they deserve, reorienting instead to the causal contextual paradigm where people, sorry to rain on the doomer parade, but with technology about to push us into the fun part of the resource mining curve, it will be Gene Roddenberry who is seen as the great visionary in 100 years, not Orwell or that. Propaganda among the military may ultimately be more important than among that of the civilian population. Without this hierarchy established, there is a strong possibility the military could turn upon the leadership.
In the last decades, interest in hunger artists has declined considerably. Whereas in earlier days, there was good money beyond putting on major productions of this sort under one's own management. Nowadays, that is totally impossible.
War weariness must be exploited. Their cowardice and fear exploited. They must have gut renovated all those buildings over there for people to be able to actually live in them. They used to sell junk out of them. They would actually chop the staircases out of them, so the only way you could get in was through the roof, and the neighbors would be in cahoots. They would lower it down to the runners. Cops had no way in. Not that they really cared. You wouldn't believe it now, but there used to be lines out in the middle of the day around the block to buy dope. Dope and coke were always separate. Maybe always will be. They always sold coke out of the bodegas. Mexicans. You're dealing with a different clientele. A different class of people. Most decent people don't want to deal with some fucker needing to score right when they run out at 5 in the morning, so they would just stick to the dope. Nowadays, people have it soft. Dealers deliver to your apartment, they have cell phones, It's a different world. Methadone programs, welfare. In my opinion, juggies should just have to go out and rob like I did when I was a kid. The classic question with libertarians is their emphasis on choice above any other issue, so they are usually progressive on most issues but would be against government regulation. The problem, of course, is that historical progress devolves into a chimera because the large population will never be able to overcome the inertia created by a massive push towards externalization, the production to China, for example, at the hands of the mountebanks of the high finance. The anarchist libertarian is left clinging to the hollow illusion of freedom while the march of history grinds him to dust. Without some regulation, either the inherent market volatility or collusion will render the system totally dysfunctional. Hitler's loss in Europe was the key event from which the rise of the mongrel might.
Even sticking his arm out of the cage so people could feel how emaciated he was.
But then completely sinking back into himself.